Wow, I think that was pretty on sync.
I don't know, because
awesome.
You guys both cut out when I did mine, but I hope
didn't
it comes
hear it,
together.
but all of our video was at the same time, so like I'm gonna call that a win for us this time.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Luck We Had. This is a shameless recap podcast, and now, as some people who have messaged me on Twitter admitted, a lot of you tune in to listen to our 911 rambling at the top, so
that's
here
crazy.
We go.
Well, since we were just discussing this, but since the last time we put out an episode, there have been 4 episodes that have come out.
4 goddamn episodes.
It turns out life gets a little crazy sometimes for everybody.
Yeah.
So that's why we went a little AWOL, but we're here. We're out here.
And
it's been even longer since we put out a shameless related episode.
Yeah, at least a month, you said, right?
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, so as of right now, it's October 28th. We are in the week break between episodes 5 and 6. I've posted 2 different videos on TikTok now explaining network television airing times to general audiences who haven't watched regular network television that wasn't compromised by COVID and or striking that like fucked the season and messed everybody's timeline up.
It is crazy that there are people who are into TV but haven't done network. Like, it's like, network is like kind of everything, guys. Just
like,
so you know,
who only watch like
streaming
stuff. I'm like, I don't get how you guys can only indulge on Netflix or like HBO originals and shit like that.
Network is where you get shows that are fucking balls to the walls because all they're trying to do is make ad money. Like,
and like, you know how you get to stream 8 seasons of Gilmore Girls and 25 seasons of Grey's Anatomy because they aired on network television. And like
syndication, baby.
Existed.
You're not canceled after one goddamn season.
Oh my god. Especially if you've got gay people. God forbid.
God forbid.
No, so we're in the week-long break because Halloween is on a Thursday this year. Like, Abbott Elementary has an episode this Tuesday, but 911 does not have an episode this Thursday because on Halloween, people that normally are watching the television at 8 o'clock, if they have little kids, they're going trick-or-treating. If they're like teenagers, they're out at they're like in their mid-20s. You're losing viewers on Halloween, so you don't put out a new episode so that it doesn't look like you don't have any viewers. The Young Sheldon spinoff will take the week off too. Like,
well, they lost a viewer
and
last
thank God
week
for that.
Because they had it
bitch.
on my birthday.
And fuck Young Sheldon spinoff when you really want to sit and talk about it. My one-sided enemy.
I also broke the news to my viewers today, to my TikTok followers today, that there will be at least a 2-month break in between episodes 808 and 809. Like,
it is also crazy that people do not know that. They take the holidays off, guys. Like, it's basically,
guys,
you're basically getting 2 seasons of TV, essentially, and it's just spanning, like, one airing.
And, like, the way that it is, like,
I don't even know. Like, it's basically 2 seasons.
We're about to watch episode 6 in the first week of November, so then the episode 7 will be the second. Episode 8, we might, that's Thanksgiving, right? So we
they
would
probably
not
won't
have an
air,
episode
right?
that week.
Yeah, because it's a Thursday. And then
we'll probably have a week after Thanksgiving.
6, 7, 8. No, 8 will air. 9 will
before.
Maybe be pushed. 9 will be pushed to December 5th, and that will be a Christmas episode, I'm assuming.
No.
Or don't they usually do the first 10? They usually do the first 10.
No, they'll split it in half. Oh, wait, yeah.
Wait. My math is off. Wait.
Episode 9,
no episode this week.
Are you off by
6,
one?
7, 8. They're going to skip 9 and push it back to December 5th. And then episode 10 will be December 12th, and that will likely be the Christmas episode.
No.
Unless they split it into 9 and 9.
Great. I think I caught my recording as it cut off. If not, if there's a weird cut while I'm discussing regular network television, whoops, my computer's trying to kill me today. But yeah, so we're all dying in this dearth of having a week of no 911. To make up for it, I'm going to dress as Buck for Halloween, obviously.
I was thinking about it too. Is that crazy?
Well, my mom gave me, my grandfather was a firefighter, and so I have like the t-shirt version of one of like, no, not his turnout, the button-up uniforms that they wear around the firehouse. I have one, so I'm just gonna put like red eyeshadow on my eyebrow, and it's Buck.
I think that's gonna be beautiful.
Work, so
I still have not figured out what I'm gonna be for Halloween, but I'm gonna go thrifting with oomph. one of my followers, mutual, we're going thrifting together tomorrow, actually. So, because she's back in Ohio, and she hit me up and was like, let's go. So I'm gonna see if I can find a Halloween costume, because I have no idea what to be.
I had a Halloween event this past weekend, and I just went as a cowboy, but unfortunately I went as cowbuck as well, because why not? And then I think next week it's like a house party, and like I'm gonna be indoors, so like I chose to go as like Jacob Elordi from Saltburn, like Felix with the wings and stuff like that. So I'm spray painting all that shit. So I have to do like a couple more coats and then like jeans and a tank top. So like easy peasy. And drinking indoors versus
breezy.
going out.
Lena, you took the notes on these ones. Do you want to take the lead?
Well, yes.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
I think so.
Yes.
This concludes the 911 chatting, but like we will bring it up again during the episode. That's who we are. But hi, let's recap an episode of Shameless, shall we? I also want to point out there is somebody in our email that emailed us about an episode way later in season 7 that we're not going to get to for a while. Let me look up their name. I don't want you to think that we're ignoring you. We got your email. I just can't comment on it yet because I haven't yet seen the episode that you emailed about. I think it was episode 7. Rebecca, we got your email. I promise. I promise we got your email. I haven't seen episode 7 yet. So I'll read it and circle back.
This is episode 703, Home Sweet Homeless Shelter. It aired on October 9th, 2016. It was written by Krista Vernoff. This is her 7th of 8 Shameless episodes she directs. She wrote 303, May I Trim Your Hedges? 309, Frank the Plumber. 502, I'm the Liver. 508, Uncle Carl. 603, The F Word. This episode. 708, You Sold Me the Laundromat, remember? 803, God Bless Her Rotting Soul. And she is also a longtime writer and producer on Grey's Anatomy, Station 19, Private Practice, Charmed. And I said, we kind of need her on 911, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please.
She would be great. Yep. This episode was directed by Ian B. McDonald. This is the 3rd of 17 episodes he directs. He did 602, #abortion rules, 608, Be a Good Boy, Come for Grandma, this one, 801, We Become What We, Frank, The Miseducation of Liam Gallagher. For some reason, I don't have an episode number for that. I think it's 804. 807, Occupy Fiona, 811, A Gallagher Pedicure, 901, Are You There, Shim? It's Me, Ian, 911, The Hobo Games, 913, Lost, 1004, A Little Gallagher Goes a Long Way, 1101, This Is Chicago, 1102, Go Home Gentrifier, 1104, NIMBY, 1106, Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good, Screw It, 1109, Survivors, 1111, The Fickle Lady Is Calling It Quits. He also directed all 6 of the Hall of Shames and a bunch of other stuff like Poker Face, The Mick, Preacher, among others. I am going to say something. I might blame him for the sitcomification of Shameless.
Well, yeah, look at how much of the back half was him.
Just a little.
No, I can get that.
Yeah. Maybe
like season 11 alone was like it's way too like that, like even the way it was filmed, like, I mean, obviously the way it was filmed, like just the way it was filmed was just,
it was
like,
COVID,
and we can use the excuse of the pandemic and the green screen,
I don't know because I haven't looked into it. They might have gotten a new DP, like you never know, because like the director's I guess more about performance and more about camera angles and less about the actual cinematography sometimes. So, I mean, look at like the new season of 911. They got a new DP and it looks completely different and really great.
No, it's drastically different.
So they could have gotten a new DP.
And look how little this man wrote season 10, and season 10 is objectively the strongest out of all of these.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's get into the actual episode though. The synopsis for this episode is Kev, V, and Svetlana start a topless maid service. Frank makes new friends at the shelter to replace his old family. Plus, Debbie's lifestyle comes to an end. Carl gets a gonorrhea scare, and business at Patsy's hits the skids. The previously on was done by Svetlana at the Alibi, insulting us. Yay! Yay! I love when she yells at me. Previously on Shameless, Lip starts at his internship. Frank disinherits the Gallagher kids, sans Liam. Kev, V, and Svetlana start a topless maid service that actually cleans. Carl got adult circumcision. Ian confronted Caleb. Debbie is stealing strollers. Frank meets a lady friend whose name is Dolores. And Fiona is in full charge of Patsy's and is making big changes. And we go right into our title credits. We open on Lip and Sierra going at it sloppy at her place.
Yeah,
and
it was
like crazy opening
like
sex scene.
Fiona and Jimmy in the
Crazy
kitchen,
opening.
like wild shit.
Like going at it, yeah. And her son wanders into the bedroom after having a nightmare and interrupts them. And Lip tries to like awkwardly explain what they were doing. He's like, we were just
working out,
exercising and working out. And she's like, okay. And so she offers for him to hang out while she puts the kid back down and then they can continue. But he says that he has to head out early because he has his internship in the morning. And so he heads out as well. At the homeless shelter, Frank has a night terror about his kids, Dolores, her kids, and Monica, like, violently killing him. And he wakes everybody up with how loud he's screaming. And the two of them are so clearly, like, sweating out a high or something crazy. They're gross. But she asks, who's Monica?
Yeah, like,
and he
like,
says,
sticky.
the love of my life, bane of my existence. You know, when you're all strung out, you kind of look a little bit like her. Which is like, ouch. But then he starts making out with her. And he was kissing kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, get into it, Bill Macy. Like, he was looking kind of good.
He always just has to, like, be so, like, raunchy, nasty with people. Like, I can't imagine.
He keeps
like,
it tight for an old man.
Not it, but like that.
But he misses Monica very deeply.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
It's hitting him hard this season.
Yeah,
Here she
which
comes.
is good
Yeah.
because...
Hi, my name's
back later.
Hello, I have a gun.
Hurricane Monica strolling on through. Lip, more like nuclear bomb Monica this time. But anyway, Lip returns home from Sierra's house at the same time as Fiona from a Tinder hookup. Like, they're both coming back from booty calls. And he calls her a slut, and she goes, I know you are, but what am I? And she looks
oh my
so
God.
fucking good. It's crazy.
Even Ian's like, good sex hair. Like, yeah.
Like, Emmy, you need to call me.
She looks so good.
Like, pick up your phones, guys. You need to call me, okay? Side note, did you guys see that picture of Jeremy with
As
his brown
Bruce
contacts
Springsteen?
today?
Yeah.
for the Bob Dylan biopic? Or is it Springsteen? I thought it was.
Yeah.
Oh no,
No.
Timothy Chalamet's Bob Dylan. Yeah, for the Springsteen biopic, some paparazzi caught him with the brown contacts in, and he looks crazy.
Yeah.
My parents are
not in the way that he normally looks crazy.
My parents are seeing Springsteen with Obama right now.
I need to see
now.
this.
No way.
Yeah.
That's with Bono. Like you
Obama.
too. Obama. Oh,
Yeah.
not as good as it would be if it was Bono, but whatever. My mom loves Bono. But yeah, no, he looks like crazy and like just because he doesn't have those blue eyes on,
Yeah.
even though his blue eyes are scary. But let's get back to it. Ian is in the kitchen serving a plate of food to Debbie's new night nurse. Yes, Debbie, with her stolen stroller money, has hired a woman to take care of her baby during the evening hours so she can sleep. And the woman...
And this was last episode. She was there last episode.
Yeah, but they like remind
yeah.
everybody, and she's still like, she like jolts away from Fiona, and Fiona's like, she's still scared of me, and I think it's Ian or Lip who goes, well, she did watch you bounce Frank's head down a flight of stairs, because the last episode cut off right as she broke through the cement wall.
Yeah.
And she goes, how do you say he had it coming in Nigerian?
Yep. Evan,
And
are you
Ian-
freaking out over the Springsteen
That picture.
look?
Yeah, I'm like terrified of that fucking photo. Like, I don't like
It's like
that
really
at all.
scary.
Because Jeremy Allen White does not look right without his piercing baby blues.
No, actually.
He looks like a demon. Like his irises blend in with the rest of his eye now. Like, I'm scared.
His eye shape is kind of reminding me of like Jeremy Strong.
Yeah.
Just the eye shape, though.
Who
not
is
the
in the
rest of
movie?
it.
He looks like someone, but I can't figure out.
Jeremy Strong
Yeah.
plays his manager.
Like, what
Wait,
does he look
The
like?
Jeremys are linking up?
Yeah.
I think I knew that, but I didn't know it was for this movie.
Yeah, Jeremy Strong plays his manager.
In this Springsteen movie? Why did I think
Yeah.
it was for like a different movie they were doing?
No, it was the Springsteen movie.
That's crazy. Okay. That's going to be awesome. I still have not watched the Jeremy Strong, like the Trump biopic, but everyone said that
movie?
his performance as Roy Cohn was crazy.
No, dude, my roommate was talking to me about that. She said it's fucking crazy.
I think I should watch
you would
it.
love it. Do you want me to spoil
Well,
one
he
thing?
dies because it's
yeah.
real life, right? He gets AIDS and dies.
No, that's not
What?
it at all. Well, I was gonna say he there's literally like
Yeah,
an orgy scene with Jeremy Strong.
Because real
with a
life,
bunch
because
of dudes.
biopic. Yeah.
Yeah, but she also said it's done really, really well where it doesn't pick a side at all.
It's like,
literally
oh,
just
he's
a
just
story.
gay.
And I was like, I like
Yeah.
that. I like when you can make a movie about a political figure and not make it about that. Like, obviously they talk about all the crazy fucking shit they both do, obviously, but it's not like at the
Yeah.
end they do like well, this was and blah blah blah. Like, they don't do any of that shit. It's just a movie, and I heard it's awesome.
Like, one part of me is
awesome.
like, I wish we would have held it
Yeah.
until after the election. That way, it's like, if we're free of Trump, we're free of Trump. But like, maybe also another part of me is like, maybe this will serve as like, I don't know, it'll influence people to not vote for him. I don't know.
But at the same time, they weren't allowed to promote the movie.
Yeah, I saw like
So,
no
that's why
promotion
you
for it.
haven't
The only
heard, like,
promotion,
NT1
the only
talking
promotion
about
were the
it.
actors like that were in it and people who follow their careers.
Yeah. There is some reason why they weren't allowed to, but I unfortunately am not. I do not have a large brain at all. But that's why, like, because when she was talking to me about it, I was like, the only promotion I saw was like a TikTok with Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong, and I scrolled fast because I was like, weird pairing.
And then they were in
together,
that movie
and then
together.
Scrolled
Yeah.
back, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, like, but other than that, that was my only influence of that movie until my roommate talked about it, because she works at one of these movie theaters that will show like not
Yeah,
the
they're
average
only doing
AMC,
they're only
like,
doing kind of
Regal
smaller
type of fucking
screens.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is the movie theater where John Waters donates money to keep it open.
That's
like
awesome.
that type of theater. He gets to watch movies for free. He just comes in randomly and during the
With
day we'll
that
just
thin
come see
ass
a movie.
mustache. Okay.
That's
No, for
drawn
real, I'd be
on.
like, okay. Do you think he ever gets? Do you
Me
think he
walking
ever
in.
gets?
Ha!
Do you think people ever come up to him and they're like, "You're the guy from the Lonely Island, the Creep video," like, and not you're John Waters? They're like, "Oh, the creep," and he's like, "What? What?
And he's like, don't
Yeah.
remember that gig.
Weird." Yeah. Okay. Hi, Ian, my friend Ian, my original Pooh Bear. I want to apologize to everybody already because I'm really biased in this episode and all the time, and I talk about Ian too much. But Ian is cooking nighttime breakfast, and he says that he's still up because Caleb has been like drunkenly blowing up his phone, begging, then name calling, then begging some more. And I kind of call bullshit on this because it didn't seem like Caleb even liked Ian that much, because like it felt like he saw him as just like a project, but maybe Ian wasn't telling the whole truth. Yeah. And they talk about Fiona's Tinder escapades and how she's loving no strings sex because she can get off but like still focus on her job. And she says, now I can just want to go.
No, just bone and go.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bone and go. Okay, typo. And both of them give Lip shit about his unpaid internship, but he pushes back that his bullshit internship will turn into a non-bullshit career. The unspoken part here being that he thinks Fiona's career is bullshit.
Yeah.
And Ian gives him a look, and Lip's like, no offense. And then Fiona's like, well, I took some anyway. And then she goes upstairs. And then Ian proceeds to give Lip more shit. And I said, yay, get his ass for me.
Yeah.
'Cause he was being
I
an
did very
asshole.
much like how the three older siblings were like a little bit, they were like together, but they were sort of at each other in this episode. It was nice. I liked it.
They do this a lot in this season, like put the three of them together, because it used to just be like Lip Fiona, but now
Yeah,
they're like, oh, Ian can also be here. So
Ian is normal right now, so he can have fun.
he's also
with his
like older
siblings.
than he was back in like season 2 or 3, so he can like kind of stand with them again,
Yeah.
which is nice. So then the next morning, everyone at the homeless shelter is awoken by the worker reminding them that they're closing at the end of the week. and they're encouraging everybody to go to other shelters, but the nearest one is 60 blocks away. Dolores' kids...
That's crazy.
Right, which is crazy. The crazy thing about Dolores is that, like, she's at the Alibi, and there's no, like, when we first meet her, and there's, like, no indication that she, like, has kids or is homeless. But I guess it's also like, well, they don't tell us that she's not, because she just goes right home with Frank and then just, like, stays with him. But it's also like, she was at the Alibi, like, hanging out. I don't know. I was like, whoa, okay, that was, like, a little bit of a left turn to me. But she's got all these kids, like, not her kids. They're just, like, kids that she's, like, picked up off the street. And
I think some of them are hers.
They don't want to go back to the tent shanty town. And Frank says that he's going to come up with something because he's the patriarch of the family. And I said, he is not the stepdad. He's the dad that stepped up.
He's so crazy.
He decides to do that this episode. But he calls Dolores Monica. And he thinks that the dream that he had that previous night is a sign that he's meant to adopt her kids. And so 2 more kids come up and ask to come too. And Frank takes this as another sign that this is his do-over family. So he christens them New Carl, New Debbie, etc. And then they pick up a new Fiona. And New Monica, or Dolores, says, no, I don't do 3-ways. And he goes, oh, Jesus, New Monica, she's my new daughter. Although we really should discuss the 3-way thing because you're missing out. New Ian,
segue.
and I specifically looked this up and clarified that it was New Ian and not New Lip, because they're kind of like I don't know, they're paired together. Is wearing the Mickey shirt, that wardrobe passed from Mickey to Frank. It also was worn by Zach Galifianakis. Yes,
it's the tank top, right?
And the design on it is the same shirt that was worn by Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover, which could mean nothing. Which could and most definitely means nothing. But they just reused that shirt and passed it from Mickey first, and then they dirtied it up and gave it to Frank, and then they dirtied it up even more and gave it to New Ian.
Well, just like when we saw her in the last episode, she was wearing the Mickey
why
blue
throw out
tank
a
top.
good shirt when you can just make it
That's
dirtier?
True. Dude, Mickey left the show and they were like, give everybody his clothes now. Yeah. And that's why when Mickey came back to the show, he got a crazy makeover and started wearing, like, good clothes.
He got a
oh my god, he got those
jeans
those khakis,
and boots.
like, oh,
bro, he cleaned up so good.
He cleaned up nice. Side note, the continuity is actually pretty good on this show because they remember Frank's, like, nasty bullet arm scar from when Sammy shot him. Yeah. He has, like, a big ass scar on his arm.
I think that's less this show being good at continuity and more Bill Macy being good. Like, Bill Macy knowing his character being like,
he was like,
he has a scar on this arm.
Yeah. But, well, they're also really good at giving everybody their character tattoos. Like, Frank and Kev both have some, like, smaller tattoos that like continue to stay visible throughout the show. I can't say the same about Mickey's knuckle tattoos because eventually they just started Sharpieing that shit on.
They look
but you know
fucked. They look
But you know
so
what? Because
bucked.
9 times out of 10, I feel like they put, like, a temporary tattoo on and then that probably lasts a couple days. If I was Noel Fisher, I would not want fuck you up on my knuckles for months at a time. I really wouldn't. So I can't even be that mad at them.
They didn't have, like, a stencil. Like, it was literally just whoever had a Sharpie, like, before he went on set that day.
Just airbrush it on. I feel like it's not that hard.
I don't know anything about TV show makeup, but I act like I do. But then I said 911 take notes because I need to see that Buck Roman numeral tattoo again. The fact that they keep covering up the wrong tattoos sometimes is crazy.
I genuinely think the Roman numeral one.
Bucket's laser fucking tattoo removal now. I think the Roman
numeral one is because he has so many fuck ass tattoos around it that you cannot cover them and still show it.
They also covered up, like, the null tattoo on his, his left arm or something. And then it was visible again in this last episode. They made it so that it was visible. Or I'm not even sure if, like, I don't know, because Oliver Stark hasn't slutted out on Instagram enough lately. I'm not even sure if he still has it or if he's gotten it covered up with something else.
We haven't gotten Oliver's shirtless pic
He
to see
needs
all
to
of them
fight
tats.
back, and he
Fight
needs to
back,
post a shirtless
Oliver.
photo.
Please!
Fight back. He just
Fight
Ryan
back.
literally Googled Ryan Guzman shirtless today and posted the first photo
Why?
from Google Images. Did you see the quality
Why
of
did he
that
post
post?
that old ass picture? Like, for what? Reliving your glory days? Come on now.
Someone else quoted it with the rest of the photos from that photo shoot, and I was like, Ryan, you chose that
Those
photo.
pictures are
brother.
so old.
Bruv,
the
come
fact
on.
of it is that he has
Bruv.
better, more recent photos to share. Why that one? Even shirtless photos. If he wanted to pick a shirtless photo so fucking bad. If you want to pick a shirtless photo so fucking bad, he has better, more recent photos. You showing me something?
Walk into the bathroom and take a
You got that on you, bro. you have it on you at all times, bro. just take a new photo.
he can't and he won't.
Dude, truck lighting, dude, you're fine.
Anyway,
Never change.
I'm pissed.
I need to make this clear, Ryan.
Sorry.
You should never change because that gave me
Never,
a real
ever.
chuckle.
No,
Never
that was
ever
so
change
funny.
because I
Yeah.
saw that
I got the notification, dude.
and I literally was sitting in my car and I was like, "What is
Brutal.
this dude doing?" Kind of love him. Anyway, back to the Gallagher house. Fiona is rushing Liam out to daycare, and the night nurse Juliemi, which I just realized I already named her earlier, but Juliemi is still freaked out by her, and then she hands Harry off to Debbie and says that Debbie owes her the week's pay. Debbie's short, she says, but she'll have it that evening. And then Juliemi says, I assume in Hausa, that if she doesn't get her the money, she'll cut off her hair and sell it to make a wig.
Yes,
which
she
is
will.
an awesome line.
Yes, she will.
Yes, she will. Dominique's dad, Luther, walks into the Gallagher house and Carl greets him with, "What's up?" And he says, "Sup is that Dominique has gonorrhea." And he thinks that Carl gave it to her. And then he proceeds to chase Carl around the house. And he, Carl, ducks through the hole in the concrete wall because the wall's still up, but they just bashed a hole in it. So he ducks through the concrete wall. And for a second, I even think Luther's like, what the fuck? And then he crawls through the hole after him. And then Carl escapes by climbing onto the ladder that connects the two houses that Frank was using in the last episode.
It was
to
a
get
good
back
scene.
and forth, which was so awesome that they did that.
Yeah.
Then
I love a good Carl chase scene. They always
make him
put him
run.
through a really weird scenario. It's awesome.
They're like, you're young. Run.
Make that boy sprint.
Then in slow motion, we watch Frank and his new family walk down the road and new Monica stops to puke, which is really gross.
Yeah, that was
It's just like a transition scene, but it goes on for so long. They walk forever.
Yeah.
At the alibi, V is texting, trying to get in contact with Fiona, and Svet remarks that Fee is too busy fucking strangers. But then V gets a text from Kev, who is on his way with the maid/former ice cream truck, because they have 7 jobs booked that day. And Svet questions what's gonna go on. She's like, am I gonna stay at the alibi while you go? And V says that they should come and strip together. Yay. And they flirt behind the bar.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, if they're all going,
Yeah, they're like, so does
Who's gonna
he
watch the
stay
bar?
And we go? Yeah.
we have
He's
to
like, no, he wants to be with us to be a bouncer.
right. We have to solve this
For a
little
second, they
narrative
look
problem.
at Kermit, and I'm like,
Sorry, go ahead.
for a second, they look at Kermit, are they just gonna toss the keys to Kermit, maybe?
Why not? They do it later. Don't they leave the bar with Kermit and Tommy for
repeat it.
an entire episode?
Yeah.
Or Ian and
Yeah.
Mickey do that. Because they leave the bar with Ian and Mickey, and then Ian and Mickey have to leave, so they leave the bar with Kermit and Tommy, and they're like, don't get too crazy.
Is that when Kermit's crying behind the bar?
Yeah, maybe. But it's a different episode when the two of them take weed brownies and fuck in the bathroom, right? Can you believe that happened?
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
in.
Yeah.
That was
I forgot that
crazy.
happened. Old Man
Old
Yowie!
Man Yowie.
The only queer Tommy I recognize.
This king.
What
This
happened?
king.
The only queer Tommy I recognize.
Actually. Kev
Still
arrives.
old and white and racist, but
Kev arrives in the van and the two come outside to check it out. It's now completely tricked out with topless art of V and Svet, and he's super pumped about it. And it actually looks really good because the show remembers canonically that Kev is an artist.
Yeah.
Kev stops the guy who's just like walking by to slip him the card for the maid service. And this is just a note for me. Whoever that extra was, he looked crazy familiar to me. He kind of looked like Philip Jessup in How to Get Away with Murder, but I IMDb'd it and it's not him. Or maybe he's like...
No, I know what you mean. He was a very familiar looking actor.
I feel like he always just plays like a guy who's kind of cracked out. Like, I'm sorry, but...
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I wish I saw his face right now.
He's just like blonde and thin and like
I
don't even know. He just looks so
he,
familiar.
He could have been like one of Mickey's cousins. Like
that could be true. That could be true. That could be true. Yeah. But V asks where the kids are, and Kev like opens up the back door to reveal that he custom built car seats into the truck, and all 3 kids are in there, which is very cute.
They're just like hooked up to the wall, which also I don't think is that
definitely
safe
not
at all.
But
no,
they're like whatever,
it's fine.
And then a rando dirty guy walks by and peeks in the truck, and it's like they like smell him first, and then they all turn around, and Svetlana sees him, and immediately the 2 of them start arguing in Russian, and then he smacks the shit out of her.
Face.
Yeah, and she like they start beating the shit out of each other. And then they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Kev like lifts Svetlana off. They're like, who the fuck is this? And she's like, it's my father, and he'll be staying with us for a while.
And then she spits out blood. It's hot.
Like crazy.
On the ground, which was awesome and amazing. At Patsy's, Sierra is bringing an unsatisfactory burger back from one of her tables and letting Fiona know that the guy complained and left without paying. And then Fiona tries the burger and agrees because it's burnt to shit. And so she goes to the back to complain to the cook, but he says, well, the meat that you bought is like too bad to cook right. And she's like, well, I had to cut costs. And they just start like beefing. they start beefing. They start beefing.
I hate you.
Just a little. And then Fiona's phone rings, and it's Liam's daycare. He punched a kid, and Fiona has to go pick him up. And she's like, oh, fuck my life.
Yeah.
She goes. At work, Ian is cleaning the ambulance, and Sue comes in to check on him, and he says that he came in early because he has too much free time now that him and Caleb are broken up. And I
will say, the way that this episode goes, they did it very subtly, because it did not occur to me that he might be going manic until the end of the episode. Because, like, yeah, he went through a breakup and his boyfriend was being annoying. Of course, he's, like, up a little late. And, like... And he's got free time. Of course he came into work a little early. It did not occur to me until later in the episode. I was like,
no, literally, this makes so much sense now. Yeah. Because I didn't think about it either, because he's been stable, like relatively stable so long. I didn't think about it either. I was like, oh.
And also the scenes you see him in, like other people are there too. So it's like, oh, everyone's awake. Everyone's having a good old time.
Yeah.
And then, like, they get a call.
So this was good. The way that they structured it was really good.
I love this episode. And they get a call, and they say that it's an agitated female, and police have her handcuffed, and they're immediately off. Lip is, like, rushing them out the door. Not Lip. Ian is, like, rushing them out. He's like, let's go. Like, we have to go. And Sue's like, chill. At Lip's internship office...
Chill.
He arrives to discover that everyone's been drinking and watching one of the owners play video games for 18 hours straight. And the owner is like, I have to piss, but he can't stop his game. So Lip has to change the piss bag for him, which is a condom.
I hate tech bros.
This is horrible.
God, I hate them.
Which is
No, but the way they...
No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was saying, but, like, the way they framed the shot, because he introduced and he was like, oh, he has to go piss real quick, and he goes, oh, like, do you want me to take
Everyone
over?
starts
And,
laughing.
like, everyone just, like, laughs at him. And then they're like, no, you're gonna change the piss bag. And he's like, are you really? And he was like, yeah, I have 15 other people out, like, literally in my inbox waiting for your position. Change the fucking piss bag.
The crazy thing is that it's, like, shit like this does happen. Like, for a software company... full of engineers, you would think that they could engineer a better piss collection system as well, but it is literally
They can afford a
it
catheter.
is a condom attached to a tube, attached to a bag that he has to dump out and change. Or he has to hold the bottle for him. And Tito, which is the name of the head intern, I'll get that out of the way now because I refer to him by name later, threatens Lip's job if he doesn't do it. So he does, and he gets piss on his hands in the process. But he's kind of like just over it.
Yeah.
Because that bag is ripe.
It's very yellow. Around the back of the alibi, Svet hoses off Yvonne as Kev V and the kids like watch, and Kevin V don't want him to stay because he sold her into sex trafficking. So Kev tells her this, that like they don't want him to stay, and she pushes back. She says, so we live together, we love together, we even raise babies together, but this decision we do not make together. Because she's like, and who came up with this? And he's like, me and V. And she's like, oh, you and V. So we do this together, but you tell me that he has to leave. And she's right.
I do like that Kev is immediately like, she's got a point. Like,
and she's right, but they're like worried. So she reassures him that he's good with babies and good at bartending, so he also solves the maid problem. He may not speak English, but he can bartend. She says that everything she learned from him. And then Yvonne turns around and Kevin V have a reaction. Kev leaves, like tries to leave to get him clothes, but V tells him not to because she's weirded out. The implication here is that his dick is massive. Just to get that out of the way. The implication here is that his cock
and
is
she's
huge.
like, don't leave me, please. Don't leave me. His cock is huge.
Don't clip that.
Clip that.
Sue and Ian speed to the scene of the agitated female. She wants him to slow down because the scene sounds stable because they have her like handcuffed. But Ian says that agitated is code for mentally ill and he doesn't want her to have to suffer for any longer.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
which is again like that's so fair, and that's why I'm like, he's relating to this. Of course, that's why he's Russian.
Exactly.
Never entered my head that he's slipping into mania.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Carl busts into the circumcision doctor's office, interrupting an elderly man getting a prostate exam, and says, "What the hell, you gave me gonorrhea." And then the guy getting the prostate exam is like, "What?" And he goes, "I didn't give him gonorrhea, I gave him a circumcision. Isn't he a little old for that?" That's what I said. It's like two old guys talking to each other. They're like the two old guys from the Muppets, like talking to each other. If one of them was giving the other one a prostate exam, but that's what it is. And the doctor asks why he thinks he has gonorrhea, and Carl says, well, I'm symptomless, but my girlfriend has it. So they decide to run a test, and Carl opens his mouth for the swab, but that is not the hole it goes in. Unfortunate for him.
I did like that the doctor was like, every time that you think about having sex without a condom, I want you to remember this moment.
Like, actually, and then he starts screaming.
Sticks the Q-tip up his dick.
We cut to Frank and his new family storming the alibi, and they're all they all ordered like virgin Bloody Marys, like tomato juice. And Frank asks Kermit who the new bartender is, and Frank then tells Yvonne that he drinks for free and that him and his family stay in the apartment upstairs. And Yvonne just like stares at him, and then Frank desperately tries to keep schmoozing him, but Yvonne just stares until we smash cut to him throwing him out of the alibi door.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
And Frank's new family follows him out the door. Dolores suggests that they go dumpster diving, but Frank refuses. He's gonna take them to Patsy's. He's like, I know a place. The manager's a real bitch, but I know a place. Ian and Sue arrive at the scene. The woman has a history of schizophrenia, but no violent crimes. And he like entertains her hallucination that a demon is trying to get her and convinces her that she'll be safe in the ambulance. So he like coaxes her and he's like, demons have been after me too. He coaxes her safely into the ambulance, and Sue is like really impressed with this at his ability to like talk her off the ledge. Then we go to the baby clothes store where Debbie is browsing, and a salesperson offers to help her. While she's off getting another size for Debbie, she takes the opportunity to shoplift a bunch of merchandise, like, comically sloppily. She's just, like, shoving shit in her coat and in her bag, like, quick as hell.
Like, Debbie,
It like
this
looks
is a
like she's holding like
store.
another baby.
There are cameras in this store. You are not being subtle.
Like, at
She like
all.
tries to do the like she tries to do the like take it to the dressing room thing later, but like that shit's for Target. That's not for a tiny boutique store where one sales associate knows what you brought in there.
Right, Debbie got
You're
way
so
too big for her
stupid.
britches. She was like, I stole, like, designer
Yeah.
designer strollers, so, like, I can steal these designer clothes. It's like, girl, you are 14. Like, good try.
Yeah.
It's
Girl,
also,
you
like,
cannot.
everybody knows that there's no fucking way you have the money to be, like, shopping for your baby here. Like, you're a child. At least with the stroller, she could always be like, oh yeah, my parents bought it, or like what, she could act like a little rich kid or something. But like with this, it's like, I know you don't have the money for that. Kev and V and Svet arrive at their first house of the day. They're still arguing about Yvonne staying with them, but Svet is insistent that she's not mad at him for selling her into sex trafficking, and she actually thinks that she owes him money for getting her smuggled into the country. She's like, he had to pay money to get me smuggled in here, and I never paid him back. And so Kev starts to like, which is
That's
crazy.
literally a crazy
But it's
sentence.
hashtag trauma. So Kev starts to agree with her, and then Svet and V are like still arguing, go to the back of the truck to collect the old woman, the old woman who cleans, and their other gear. And then they go inside the house and they're like still arguing. A concerned neighbor outside approaches Kev, asking him to move the van because they have kids that are about to play outside, and Kev refuses, and the guy tries to reason with him, but then Kev maintains, like, this is a legitimate business, and one of the babies in the back starts crying, which, like, stresses the bystander out even more. So and Kev's like, look what you did, my kids are crying now. He's like, oh my god, like, you fucked it up.
Kev's like sucking on a lollipop
He's like,
too.
"What's
He's
up?
like,
What's up?"
No, I don't want
And the guy
He's like, the
pulls out
14th Amendment makes it so that the guy's like, the 14th Amendment's about slavery. Well, like, what's wrong with you?
right.
He's like, well, one of my wives is black and the other one was a slave. So checkmate.
What's up? The guy pulls out $200, offering it to Kev to move the van, and he's like, okay. And so he's like, I'll pull it around the block. So he accepts the money, slips the guy a business card just in case he needs it later.
Yeah,
But the guy gives Kev a look when he slips him the card though, and he just kind of like looks at him and gives him like a little
he's
nod.
like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, I'll call you. Like, all right.
He's like, all right.
In the ambulance, the woman that they picked up is still freaking out, and she begs Ian to undo the restraints on her arms and legs, but Ian tries to calm her, but she says that the restraints are hurting her, and sadly, unfortunately, he knows how that feels. So he starts to undo the restraints, but Sue reprimands him, and then he decides to do it anyway, and the woman takes the opportunity, being unbuckled, to jump out of the back of the ambulance and into the road, and promptly, like, immediately gets hit by a car.
Of course.
My question here...
Yeah. I didn't realize that like the back of those can unlatch
I
that
guess.
fast.
Well, the paramedics in the back need to be able to open them.
Yeah, well, and he wasn't, obviously
True.
didn't think that she
But
would
in
do
motion,
that. But, well, because he's not at 100%.
Yeah.
But my question here is, like...
He's sympathizing. He's not thinking.
Yeah, is that, like, did they not sedate her when she got into the ambulance? Do they not do that? I've never been,
Well, if you can't, like, get
Oh,
her calm
interesting.
enough to, like, administer sedation, then, like...
That's true, but he
And
but
he
he
The restraints
did.
probably
Ian,
were the
maybe
next
Ian
best.
Too, maybe Ian too just didn't want to.
Honestly,
sedate
that's
her.
probably true, because because he knows how it feels. Because it's like he did get her calm enough that she went voluntarily into the ambulance. So I would assume that like he could keep her calm enough to give her sedation or of some sort.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Ian is not thinking clearly either.
No.
But we'll come back to Ian in a second. At the diner, Fiona is updating the menu, and Melinda walks by bitching about their new uniform. And then Frank arrives with the family, and Fiona tries to kick them out. And then Liam calls Dolores mommy, which is crazy.
It's weird.
And Fiona tells Frank about why Liam got kicked out of daycare. He punched a kid in the balls and then called him a gringo. And Frank is like, yay, son, just like I taught you. Like, He's so excited. Or he's like, good job, Liam. Like, it's awesome. Frank introduces his new family. He goes, this right here is New Debbie. And New Debbie goes, can I be New Dan? Because he's a little boy. And he says, well, there is no Dan. They forcibly feminized this little boy.
Sigh.
This is the future that woke liberals want. New Debbie and not New Dan.
Yeah, it's every fucking commercial during a football
Oh my
game.
god, we've been getting so many in Ohio lately. The freaking, again, Sherrod Brown, they're like, Sherrod Brown allowed transgender aliens to play in women's sports.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
The, like, Kamala was giving transgender inmates sex assignment surgeries. It's like, stop, shut the fuck up. Like, what?
I don't give a fuck,
it's
first
the
of all.
most
Second of
violent
all,
ad.
Second of all, buzzword.
Y'all crazy.
The kids are hungry, and Fiona apologizes because they can't eat there unless they have money. And Frank hands her a credit card. It's the one that he stole off of Debbie in the previous episode. And Fiona checks the name and then bends it in half. And Dolores calls her a heartless little twat. But, which I just thought was funny. But Liam presents Frank with a pile of cash that he says he stole from his teacher's purse. And Frank goes, just like I taught you. How cute. Frank tries, which it's crazy
So
thinking
sweet.
about the direction that they went in with Liam once they recasted the actor, where they were like, oh, Liam has like a full conscience and is like a moral compass, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
I know, he literally just has like one word lines for
and
like
does Frank's
every
bidding,
single
and then
season,
one
and
day
then
he
all
woke
of a sudden
up
they're like,
and
he's
was like, I am Gandhi. Straight up. Like, he woke up and he was like, I am...
Liam went woke.
Yeah, no. He woke
I'm the smartest
up.
person in
He
this
literally
family.
woke up.
he woke up.
Like, gee, like, bro, okay. Anyway, Frank tries to order again, but they only have $6, and Fiona doesn't want them there. So Frank sets everyone off to, like, cause chaos by, like, yelling and gagging. And Fiona's like, oh my god. And she grabs these, like, half-finished plates from the busser. Liam hands over his own order of pancakes just to get them to shut the fuck up. And Fiona's like, none for the adults, though. Just the kids. Just the kids. And then new Fiona calls her a bitch. And Frank's like, yes, new Fiona. And then she goes, that's new Fiona. And he says, well, if the bra fits. And she goes, okay. And then she's like,
Yeah, she's just like bra out in this whole episode.
and she's like twice
Okay.
Fiona's size. So it's just like, he's like, if the bra
Yeah.
fits. And then she's like, okay. And she threatens to call the cops. And then Frank is like genuinely hurt by this. He goes, he's like calling the cops. What kind of Gallagher are you? She goes, I'm not a Gallagher. You disowned me, remember? And then his face like kind of like falls. Like Bill Macy is so
Yeah.
good. And so he gets all quiet and he's like, we're leaving. Like, fine, fuck you, we're leaving. Which is like, bro, I don't know what you thought was
Him
gonna
and Emmy
happen.
beef so well.
I don't know what he thought was gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
he came into her restaurant, caused a big fucking scene. She had to kick him out of the house because he built a concrete wall separating the upstairs and downstairs. Like, I don't know what he thought was gonna happen. Then he disowned her. Like,
Yeah, this girl ain't got no sympathy for you right now.
She bounced your ass down a set of stairs.
whatever.
Ay.
Fiona gets another call, and this time it's Ian, and she about Ian, and she has to head out, so she borrows Sierra's car and leaves her in charge. And this offends the shit out of Melinda. And Sierra asks if the naked asses are going to be a problem, and Fiona turns around to see Dolores, Frank, and new Fiona mooning the front window.
The ass is on the window, like
Out,
squished
so out.
all up in people's faces.
Yeah. So Fiona, on her way out, tells Frank that the cops are on their way, and she's lying, but she's like, get the fuck out. New Fiona, and this is kind of her like runner for the entire episode, new Fiona suggests that she blows someone to get them food, but Frank refuses. He's like, no, we don't do that. And then he spots a sign for an open house and gets an idea, and the family is off. At the cleaning job, Vi and Svet argue while shoving their tits in the client's face. And Kev, this is funny. They're just still arguing.
Stupid.
And Kev bursts in saying that they should go because it turns out they can make way more money by just parking the truck in rich neighborhoods because people will pay them to move it. So they don't even have to work.
Yeah.
And they rush out. Meanwhile, Frank and the new Gallaghers make their way to the open house where there's a large platter of free chocolate chip cookies. And the realtor, Sylvie, knows him already, and she does not want him there. And I just think it's really fun whenever Frank runs into someone in the city who already knows him for being an asshole. Or where they're just exasperated by him. They're like,
fuck
get
you,
out
Frank.
of here, Frank. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
I love when they do that.
You've been round this block before.
No,
Fuck.
literally.
And it happens like pretty continuously throughout the show. Like there's so many people, like the mailman's like, fuck you, Frank, like all this
He's
other
infamous.
so many people. Made his rounds.
And you had a note here.
Oh yeah, this set so clearly Sheila's house.
Yeah, the staircase is like in the same.
This is Sheila's house. They gave it a facelift. But that's Sheila's house.
Amanda, I think you're officially back to normal.
Yeah, your audio's back.
Yay!
Oh my
Yeah.
Yay!
Your audio and your
Oh, amazing!
screen.
It must have just been the Wi-Fi.
Did I speak too soon?
I'm doing the notes on my laptop instead of in another window, so I'm just like not touching
that might
anything,
be better.
so
Also,
hopefully
it could just be the Wi-Fi as well. But
Yeah.
Frank.
But this is clearly like they gave it a little facelift. They tried to make it not look like Sheila's house. This is the Sheila's house.
The staircase.
It's
the
literally
staircase, the kitchen,
the same structure.
the wall that separates the kitchen from the living room. They're like all in the same place. They just give it different furniture and paint.
Yeah, like the windowed kitchen
breakfast bar
see-through thingy.
And Frank, which like if you think about it, it's like, okay, I'm assuming because this house is shown to be nearby the Gallagher house. So if you think about it, you could make the argument that like, oh, all these houses were built at the same time, probably by the same contractor as part of like a mass housing project. They are just all the same inside. Sure. Also,
it's literally on the same block.
Yeah.
As the
Also,
Gallagher
shows
house.
do this all the time. It's not like anything crazy that is happening. Like shows reuse.
Oh no, I just
no,
clocked
yeah.
it
So,
immediately.
that was a good catch. I didn't catch that. But Frank steps in for Sylvie, who's trying to sell the house to a yuppie couple, and he tells them that the last owner died in the house, which is true. She died at home in bed of natural causes, I believe. She was like old. And Sylvie tries to be like, she was old, like peacefully in her bed, like that. Yeah. So she like steers the couple,
like we all want. That's how we all want to go.
So she steers the couple away. And the Gallaghers ask if this is going to be their new house, and Frank gets more ideas. Home sweet homeless shelter.
Home sweet homeless shelter. He said the thing.
Yup. Back at work.
They love doing that.
Back at work, Lip's boss is still playing, and he's about to break a record. I guess just longest amount of time playing, I guess, or something. So Tito suggests that Lip replenish the owner's food, and then Lip is like, I think you should do it, and he storms off, and Tito follows him, and then Lip says that he's supposed to be learning, but instead he thinks he's doing too much grunt work, and Tito's like, I have other people more qualified who want to be here more than you, and the only reason you're here is because Professor Ewens did me a favor, and then he's like, but I can fire you, like, I'll do that, if you really want that, I will do it. And then he's like, think about it. And he leaves. Back at the house, Sylvie tries to kick Frank and the family out. And he informs her that, he informs her that he went behind her back and contacted the house's owner, who's like the dead woman's nephew, who lives overseas or is like in the military or something. So obviously he's lying. But she still tries to kick him out.
Yeah. She even like clocks him, and he's like, "Actually, no, I did talk
and
to them." That's
you're
so
gonna
crazy
have to prove
you said
it that I didn't. So she still tries to kick him out, but he's like, "Kids," and then New Carl bites her, which Carl would. Carl so would. And then she goes and says that she'll be back with the police. So Frank decides to rush out as well, but he tells everybody else to stay.
No, the kids literally like push her ass
like,
out. Like the kids
and
like
she's
mob
like, fine,
her
I'll be
and
back
push
with the
her
police,
out.
like whatever. So Frank is like, oh shit, like I should go then. Like I'm. So he tells everybody to stay and that he's gonna go get reinforcements and that they can't let anybody in, no matter what. And then he leaves.
He's like, it's so important that you don't leave. Like squatters' rights, you have to stay here.
Back at Ian's scene, another squad is loading the injured woman into the ambulance, and she's seemingly going to make a recovery, which is crazy because she got whacked by that car.
She
She
got
flew
hit
over the
straight
windshield, like
on.
over the entire car. So, okay.
Yeah.
And Sue comes over to talk to Ian, who like immediately apologizes. And then their supervisor, Rita, has arrived and she reams him out for removing the restraints. And he apologizes again. He's like, it was a mistake. I'm not going to do it again. And she says, well, you sure as shit won't. I'll cover you for this. I'll cover you this time, but you have to watch this video. And he's like, please, I'm taking my meds. Like, I promise. But she makes him watch the video anyway. And it's him, like, telling himself that if Rita says to go, he needs to go. And I laughed a little at this. It's really sad. But he looks like Archie from Riverdale. And he's, like, holding the phone, like, selfie style. And he's, like, and he's like, so earnest. He's like, if Rita says you have to go, Ian. He's, like, gentle parenting himself. It kind of made me laugh. I was like, man, he's so earnest.
This was
I agree.
This was Evan Buckley behavior. This was Buck behavior.
Well, I just laughing. Well, he looked like that one picture of Ryan as Eddie. You know, the one in front of the gold wall.
My favorite photo ever.
Just his,
yeah, no,
just
I did like
smile.
that.
So
He
scary
had
in that
recorded a
photo.
video. He's like, the only person I'm going to listen to is me. Keep this for when I'm not listening.
Right?
To you.
He's like, listen to me. Like, it's your friend, Ian. Like, it's me, Ian, your friend.
It's me, Ian.
Me, Ian, you. And like, actually, I think every time I think about the picture of Ryan. Anyway. Fiona arrives to pick him up and he refuses to go with her. And he's like, I'm not manic. Like, I promise. But Sue chimes in that he drove way too fast to the scene. And then Rita points out that he scrubbed the rig for 3 hours before his shift started. And Ian, on the verge of tears, turns around to face Fiona. And she's like, you are making breakfast in the middle of the night. And she's also worried about him. Which is...
Yeah. But she's like, you went through a breakup. Big emotional changes in your life can alter the way that your meds affect you. Like, this is a normal thing to happen. And he knows she's right, and he's mad about it, and he doesn't want to hear it.
It is such an interesting obstacle that they've put Ian in here. Because he can either accept what they're telling him and see his psych and accept that he, like, accept again, essentially, that he has this disease and that this is going to be an ongoing obstacle and challenge in his life. Or he can deflect, but he'll fulfill the Monica prophecy. And it's also a really interesting choice that it's all women telling him this. Like, Monica, mother figure. Like, I don't know exactly what I think about that yet, but, like, the fact that it's all women that are telling him, you need to get help, and he actually listens.
Yeah, and it's not like a boyfriend. It's not this. It's like your boss.
It's his,
and your
like,
sister.
kind of mother
hey.
figures in life who are telling him this. Like, his female boss, 2 of his female bosses, and then his sister, who is basically his mother. So that's crazy. When you really sit and think about it.
Yeah.
And
with all of the Monica in this episode too, like, yeah,
like, that was so on purpose. Every time I think about it, I'm like,
everything in TV is deliberate, from things like this to things like having boyfriends sleep in a couch and an armchair instead of in a bed together. Everything's deliberate. Everything is a choice that's made on
TV
purpose.
is so crazy sometimes because on the one hand, everything is deliberate and on purpose, but on the other hand, it is not that serious. We live in it's a crazy,
and then
weird
sometimes
medium.
there's a boom mic and
Right,
there's
it's
a
a
camera
crazy
in the
weird
shot.
medium that we inhabit here, where it's like it should never ever be that serious. It should never be like I'm like getting genuinely angry, pissed, mad about it, like towards other people or like towards like other fans or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like, no, a lot of this stuff they don't do on accident. A lot of these things, like blocking, someone sits and thinks about because they get paid to think about it. Just so you know, like.
Blocking is one of the things I will always, no matter what, I will use in my favor. Like, blocking alone, like, you could give me dialogue, you could give me, like, anything else, but blocking alone tells such a bigger story than half the fucking
because if you
things
look
on the
at,
screen.
like,
Evan, before you came on, Lena and I were talking the couch and the armchair thing, and them standing so far
I
apart
texted
in the
Lena when I was-
graveyard. Hey, what?
I was texting Lena when I was watching the episode, like, the day later, obviously. And I literally was like, Tommy for real on the couch right now. I was like, why is Buck in an armchair? If anything, I feel like sitting upright with an injury that is probably more discomfort than laying on your
But
back.
if you want to circle it back to couch theory, we can talk about that because
yeah.
That couch that looks
he's
so
still
much
in
like
a solo chair, like at the very.
It looks just like it essentially.
No,
but because it's not. It's
just a leather couch.
But like if you want to think about it in the meta sense of like Buck and Tommy's relationship, the way that I personally have been thinking about it, where I'm like, oh, Buck and Tommy like are not letting each other in, and less about like, oh, one's letting the other in or like the other way around. Because I think Buck is just as much at fault of keeping Tommy out, because obviously something subconscious in him knows that like this isn't it for him. That he's not in. Tommy sleeping on the couch by himself. Tommy holding space in this relationship, thinking like quote unquote making an effort, but like in reality they're just not compatible. Buck choosing to sit on the armchair by himself.
Not sleep in his own bed.
Not sleep in a shared bed with Tommy. Buck choosing to sit in the armchair that he once moved to the center of the room when he decided to be single for a while. Really makes you talking about a curse I was the entire time.
The last scene we've
really
seen
makes you sit and think, doesn't it?
Like the last scene
the blocking.
No, like the last scene we've seen Buck in his apartment was him sitting alone in that armchair, and him to continuously still. The next shot we see of him in his apartment, he's still in the single chair, even though his partner is in the room with him. Go to bed, Evan. I'm gonna knock you out, bro. I'm gonna get you. That's his house.
That was a
Don't
crazy
tell me
thing
to
to
go
say.
bed.
It's like, bro, he's 32. He will reap the consequences of his actions.
Also,
like, I'm sorry. At the end of the day,
but also like screen time for a dislocated shoulder.
Well, he basically is just like, you need to sleep.
It's not like an eye strain.
It's like, bro, at the end of the day, he is 33. If it prolongs his healing, he's gonna learn that the hard way. You can't gentle parent your partner. Like, I'm sorry.
Also, let's remember, if they're like, what is best for healing of the shoulder? Chimney had Rebar go through his face in the first goddamn season. Let's not say this. Bobby was dead for 14
and then like
minutes
immediately
and
came back to work
at the end of that episode. Like,
Buck got struck by lightning.
No, like,
Eddie has been shot
by
lightning
so many times
and woke up and
does
was
not
fine.
have any scars.
Like what?
Eddie, who we have seen shirtless since he's been shot, does not have a scar where he was shot. Okay.
Like, this is, like, again, it's like, this is TV,
guys.
and it is not that serious. Like, we cannot logic away. We can't logic.
But the blocking is.
But it's like, we can't logic away.
Just like in that episode, the couch and the armchair, plus the when Eddie came over to touch up his wounds, sitting across
and him
the
on
table
the opposite side of the
him.
table.
And then the graveyard, them separated, and Buck walking away without him, and Oliver being physically...
The graveyard is the most damning thing to me. The graveyard was the most damning thing to me, bro. Like, that was crazy. And the fact that people can't see that.
Oliver being physically incapable of controlling his face, too. Like, the look back at Tommy.
Everyone's clowning on Oliver. Everyone's like, oh, Oliver couldn't hold that. I'm like, Oliver has been nothing but a professional ever. Like, obviously when he's off the clock, sometimes he gets a little crazy. But, like, when he's, like, acting, he's fucking, like, he's acting. Like, if we think about, like, season 4, buddy, it's like, he fucking hated Ryan. He wanted him dead. And he was in there, like, Eddie, hi. So it's like, okay.
Twirling his hair.
At the end of the day, like, Oliver, character bleed. At the end of the day, Oliver will, like, shift into Buck mode, and he'll just be like, whatever. But it's just crazy, and the fact that people can't see that, it is crazy. Woo!
Yeah. And I'm like, that's not.
It gives me a thrill, you guys. It gives me a crazy thrill to be here with you. Yeah, I had something else.
Anyway, remember how I said that we would absolutely be bringing it up during
we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about it enough in the beginning, because you and I talked for...
We didn't talk about 911 that much in the beginning.
We talked about it a little before you got on, Evan, and I think I was tuckered out. But no, I'm back.
I'm back.
Back to Shameless.
All right. So
Back to Shameless. I need to eat dinner.
Rita suggests, I feel like we're kind of almost done. Rita suggests that he just take the week and go see his doctor, and he relents, but he refuses to ride with Fiona. He like walks off by himself.
He always just walks off.
This is also a nice medium of his like living with this. Because like before he was diagnosed, before he was treated, it was like something like this would explode his life. That he would be fired from his job. It would explode his life. Everything would be terrible. But now he's at such a place where his boss is like, I know where you are. I know who you are. Take your meds, see your doctor, come back next week. Like, it's not world ending, but it's still devastating.
Yeah. I mean, and it's the first time that this has ever happened to him as well since the big blow up. So he's like, I don't know. He's worried that it's going to happen again. He's worried that he can't just have a blip or everything will fall apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love your guys' dissection of this scene because, like, the only thing that's been in my brain is attitude. Now walk
He is attitude. He's got serious.
Attitude.
Like, actually, Ian...
That is Ian this whole...
If they let Ian be how he is in my head, he would have gone like this. And walked off.
Snap.
Well, yes.
I walked up.
Please, my friend,
Debbie.
I texted Allison out yesterday, and she can go MIA for, like, 24 hours and then text me. So, like, I texted her back immediately yesterday when she texted me, and then she texted me back today, like, earlier this afternoon, and I didn't text back immediately, so she just texted me. She's
God.
Like, are you good?
Okay.
He's always on that phone.
Debbie, still at the store, is stealing by layering up on clothes in the dressing room. And then we cut back to Carl, who is waiting outside Dominique's house for her to come out. And he tells her that her dad is trying to kill him. And then he apologizes for giving her gonorrhea because he has no clue how he got it. And she blows him off and is just like, my dad's going to be home soon, so you should get out of here. And then she rides off on the bike that he bought her. And he goes, you're just going to ride off on the bike I bought you? I cut the tip of my dick off for you. And then he yells after her that he loves her. And she doesn't even look back. And then he gets a phone call. And then
This episode, like, this day feels like 5 million years long.
But it's because
like,
we're, like, ping-ponging, like,
forever.
back to everybody. Which is actually really fantastic pacing. Like, this episode is...
Yeah, I really like it.
I don't... It's just not a hate on it, but it's just, like...
Because then once everybody gets back to the Gallagher house, we have, like, a long scene that wraps up, like, a couple storylines, which is good. But we go back to Patsy's, and Fiona returns from seeing Ian, super frustrated, and Melinda is smoking a cig outside and informs her that the restaurant is a total shit show. And she's not wrong. The restaurant is in chaos. Everyone's unhappy. It turns out that the cook walked out. So in the back, like, one of the waitresses is trying to cook, and she keeps, like fucking up. And Chad, who, if you guys remember from the previous episode, is the guy who's, like, kind of the middleman between Fiona and the woman who owns the block, basically. She owns, like, the whole fucking block. Chad arrives asking what's going on, and Fiona calls another guy on her list to come in, and Chad, like, helps Fiona try to get caught up with the rush. Yeah, he's cool.
I liked him.
I don't remember what ends up happening to him, if he just kind of fades off into obscurity. I don't remember.
I think he just phases... I think he does just phase off because once we get to, like, a couple episodes later, it's mostly just Fiona and the main lady that are bouncing back and forth. But yeah, her and Margot are the only people. Like, he completely disappears, basically.
Back at the store, Debbie prepares to leave with her new items, and the saleswoman tries to stall her, but Debbie's like, no, I'm good. It turns out she's not as slick as she thought, because the mall security guard comes in, having been called by the saleswoman, and she's like, oh my god, where were you? You took forever. And he's like, sorry. Like, I had another thing to do. And we cut from there. After the rush is over at Patsy's, Chad is upset with Fiona for leaving the diner unattended. She doesn't even really try to explain, like, what happened, but he tries to reason with her, and then he lets it slip that, like, Margot, who is their boss, is a high school dropout. And this piques Fiona's interest, but she, like, apologizes just to get him to leave. And then she starts Googling Margot, and then she gets another call. It's for Debbie, and they want Fiona to come down to the store.
And Debbie is the first one that she tries to go, no, I'm busy. I can't. Like, Debbie is the first, like, line that she tries to draw.
I have an argument later
bitch.
about this whole situation that ends up at the end, but I'll get there in a second. Frank arrives at the homeless shelter and makes a big speech to rouse everyone to join him at his new homeless shelter, and it's a hit. He's kind of like Jesus when you really think about it. He has such a way with words, and he really rallies the people. And they take to the streets.
He really does know how to get a crowd. Like,
remember
he
that
really does.
brief plot line in season 3 when he was like a motivational speaker? He was like a gay. He was gay for pay, and he was like gay motivational speaker.
He was getting pimped out,
and then he ran into Ian at the gay
and then he
club
did the conversion therapy
with his
thing.
sugar daddy, and he was like, "Oh my god, Ian! Like, what's up?"
That's my son.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
This show's awesome. Fiona arrives at the store to deal with Debbie and take her home. And the saleswoman says that Fiona needs to pay for everything Debbie tries to steal or she'll have her arrested. Which, like, in what world does that make sense? Just, like, have her return it. She didn't even make it out of the store. And you can still press charges if you feel like being a bitch. But, like, to make her pay $2,500 for shit that didn't even make it out of the store because you caught her, like, way ahead before she even...
and she's a child,
and
so
she's
at
a minor,
the same
and it's
time...
like, and it's like... And you
I feel like
caught
that's
her,
another
like, way
layer.
before she even tried to leave. You just, like, stalled her so that she'd, like, steal more or whatever. You know, like, I'm convinced that Debbie would have left earlier and the woman was just trying to, like, stay and get her to steal enough so that it would be a federal charge. But...
yeah.
Fiona tells the saleswoman that Debbie wasn't shoplifting, that she just forgot to pay, and she does that sometimes because she has a low IQ. And Debbie's, like, offended by this excuse. And then the woman goes, she's our word. And Debbie goes, that's a deeply offensive word. And Fiona goes, that's right, Debs, you tell her. And then she takes Debbie
and that's again, like,
away.
Fiona arrived, like, she of course took care of the Liam thing with compassion. She arrived to Ian with compassion. For Debbie, she's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna embarrass you, actually, and fuck you for making this a part of my day.
Yeah. That crazy robot voice that just came out of your mic. Sorry.
Oh no!
It was funny though. It was a really funny one. It sounded just like that, actually.
Ooh, into such a good scene.
Yes, honestly my favorite scene of the episode. Back at home, Ian angrily putters around the kitchen while Lip watches, and he asks if he's okay, and Ian's like, "Of course I'm okay." Like, yeah, obviously he's not. And I wrote here, this scene is great. And then I said, Lip follows Ian to the living room, asks what happened. Ian says that they sent him home, that he's fine, but because of his history, he can't make one mistake. But Lip doesn't fully buy this. And then I wrote again, this scene is great. Oh, Ian's big wet eyes. Cameron Monaghan, you will always be famous to me.
Yeah.
Lip says that he gets it. And Ian says there's no way. And Lip's like, I have to set a timer whenever I want to have a beer. Frank's jeans might not be as bad as Monica's, but they suck too. And Ian admits that he hasn't slept in a few nights, but it's not because Caleb's been blowing up his phone. He just hasn't slept. And he doesn't feel manic, but he knows that he never feels it until it's too late. But he's still disappointed in himself for slipping. And Lip's like, okay, so what are you supposed to do now? And Ian explains, I take my downers, sleep it off, see the shrink as soon as possible. Lip's like, well, then you should do it. But Ian doesn't want to. And then I wrote, me screaming.
The way that Cameron delivered that, I love when he whispers when you can sort of barely hear what it is that he said. He's like, I don't want to. Like, it forces its way out of him. Oh, it was so good.
He's so good. But he's going to. And Lip sympathizes. He didn't want to go to rehab, but he did it. But Lip is still drinking. And he has weird rules and rituals around drinking that do not actually work long-term to curb his addiction. So it kind of didn't work that well.
If anything, it's like heightening his addiction.
Well, it definitely made him more of a functioning alcoholic for a little bit. And it definitely got him out of, like, the slump that he was in like nonstop drinking every day. It got him to at least detox for a month, but yeah. And he admits to Ian that he wishes that he would have done it sooner, like maybe before he got kicked out of college and fucked his future up. And Ian nods and then takes a downer. And this is how we do character development. This is how we do putting characters through similar obstacles and showing that they've grown. Okay? Yep. Awesome scene. And it continues. Really it continues to be a great, awesome scene because everybody just starts like arriving home around the same time. Carl comes in and asks how to apologize to a girl for giving her Gano. And Ian asks if he got like an antibiotic, to which Carl says no because he tested negative, so he doesn't need them. Well then, my boy, you don't have it. You never had it. They try to explain this to him kindly, that Dominique did definitely not get it from him, and she definitely didn't get it from a toilet seat. Likely, she got it from another guy. And Carl just kind of like sits with this. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
That poor boy.
At this time, Fiona and Debbie rush in mid-argument. Debbie claims that she's sorry, that she was just trying to provide for Harry and be a good mom, but Fiona isn't having any of it. She says that she put her baby in jeopardy and she could have been taken away by social services if Debbie had been arrested. And Lip and Ian wonder what happened, and Fiona explains that she was shoplifting. And the return of bitchy Ian is so awesome. He goes, my money was on stripping.
Because that's what the redheaded Gallaghers do. That's how they make money.
I mean, Debbie was going to sell the merch to pay Juliemi and be a good mom. So, like, pay Juliemi so that she could sleep through the night and be a good mom during the day. But Fiona insists that good moms stick around and that going to jail wouldn't be something a good mom would do. Like, be the opposite of Monica. But Fiona has to rush out to go back to Patsy's, and Lip has a dishwashing shift, so he goes with her. And then we go back to Frank. Sylvie arrives at the house with the police, and Frank explains that they're closing the homeless shelter and they need somewhere to go. And he claims that the owner gave them permission to stay. He sounds confident, and the officer says that Sylvie should just take it to court. And she tries to argue, and the officer goes, listen, I know who he is, and I know he's probably lying, but I'm not going to arrest a couple of dozen homeless people and their kids when it's your word against his. If you can get the owner on the phone, then I'll kick him out. But she can't, so she's fucked. And her and the cop leave.
Yeah.
And then New Lip chimes in with...
Like, once...
Yeah.
Just like you said, these people that know Frank, that know his shenanigans, they're like, I know this motherfucker's lying to me. But, like...
I know he's lying to me.
My hands are tied.
They're like, I know he's lying to me, but also he's Frank, and he's made a lot of crazy things happen. There is always a chance that he is not lying, and he's actually smooth-talked the nephew into letting him stay. Like... That's the crazy part about Frank, is that it's like anything is possible with this dude. Like, and then New Lip chimes in with wins dinner, and Frank's like,
Yeah. It's like that record scratch moment.
That's me. In the shower. I bet you're wondering how I got into this situation. In the shower, V is interrupted by Yvonne barging in. He literally like gets into the shower with her. What the fuck? And then she like looks down. Yeah. She looks down at his dick and is like, what the fuck? Then we go back to Carl, who is sneaking around outside Dominique's house again, and he spots her riding off on her bike, and he follows her on his skateboard.
Yeah, I thought it was really funny to have Carl on a skateboard in this, because like that motherfucker, season 3 was in a big old fucking cast.
I think it was 5.
Couldn't stay off a skateboard.
Yeah, well,
was that season 5?
It is season 5. Well, Ethan isn't a quitter, so he got back on that skateboard. But meanwhile, Frank and his new kids go dumpster diving and pick up a bag of bagels. And then, like, Dom passes Frank and the kids on the street, so Carl passes them as well. And then Frank, like, does a double take back at Carl.
It's like a slow-mo shot of the two of them, like,
it's
seeing
a good
each other.
shot.
Really
yeah,
cool.
It was good. And Dom stops at a frat house, and Carl peeks through the gate to see her making out with some other guy. So Carl takes a photo. And then Dom goes inside with him, and Carl goes around and steals the bike back. Like,
hell yeah.
On their way home, Frank, New Lip, and New Ian pass a church, and one of the sisters asks if she can help him, and he's like, yes! Yay!
Yes! Yes,
yes, you can. But we cut away at Patsy's. Fiona is still Googling Margot's life story. And Lip knocks on the door, asks what she's looking at. And she tells him about Margot. She was a high school dropout. She now owns like half the South Side. And she never got married or had kids. She worked her ass off, paid her dues, and she's now worth $300 million. And Lip can tell that Fiona wants to be like Margot. But Lip also wants to be like Margot. And I think he feels like he's in competition with Fiona. So he has to leave. Like, not only is he realizing this about Fiona and getting like not just like jealous, but feeling competitive with her, but he also realizes this about himself, and that motivates him to go and do what he does in the next
he's
scene.
always been the one. He's always been told, even by Fiona, you're the one. You're the one that's going to make it out of this. You're the smart one. You're the one that's supposed to make something of yourself. And he's like, now wait a minute, I'm washing dishes.
And Fiona's running, and Fiona's the manager,
wait.
and she's like working to get out of this. Like, yeah. Back at Dom's house, Carl knocks on the door and shows Luther both his test results and the photo of Dominique kissing the other guy.
He's the way he answered the door.
Luther fully, because Luther definitely looked through the peephole, so he has his like gun out, and Carl's like holding up the test results in the phone. He's like, it wasn't me. And Luther's like, Luther's like, are those Greek letters? And he's like, yeah, she's at a frat. And then he's like, do you remember where this frat is? And he's like, yeah. So the two leave together to go and get her. Lip goes back to the internship office where his boss is still playing the game.
I really liked the editing of this. The like first person shooter of the game cut back and forth with like the back of Lip like walking into the office. It was really cool. It was a really cool editing choice of the like walking into a war zone, Lip walking back into this office thing. I thought it was really cool.
Right, because like Lip is at war, but he also needs to be smart about which battles he wants to fight. Is he going to be bitchy about the grunt work that he has to do, or is he going to suck it up? That way he can fight real battles later on. So he has this like tense staring contest with Tito, and then he steps in to change the full piss bag without being told. So he's like accepted that he needs to like pay his dues and like keep his head down, and he asks everybody in the room if they want a coffee or a beer, and then like goes off to get it. Back at the frat house, Luther and Carl arrive, and Luther has called the SWAT team. He hands
crazy
gross misuse of his power.
Right, he hands Carl a bulletproof vest and SWAT storms the house, and then I wrote, Luther is low-key miss overreaction sometimes. All the time. Like,
I love it.
Here. Back at the new homeless shelter, home sweet homeless shelter, new Debbie thanks God for Frank, like is like praying, hands and knees on the bed. And he also hopes that Frank will let him be a boy called Dan. And then new Fiona offers Frank a blowjob to say thank you, and Frank is very grossed out by this. And then he's like, okay, everybody go to bed now.
We also haven't mentioned they call him Daddy Frank.
Oh,
Daddy
who
Frank.
else called him Daddy Frank? Karen? Daddy Frank? Sammy?
Oh yeah.
Sammy just called him Daddy, but Karen was it was Daddy Frank. It was Daddy Frank. Oh my God, there was another Daddy Frank. Somebody else called him that.
No, I think it was Karen.
It was Karen, but I feel like there was somebody else as well.
I'm trying to think of like another person. I can't think of anyone else that Frank would have had.
You might
that
be
much,
thinking
like,
of
involvement
Chucky, like
with.
Grandpa Frank.
Grandpa Frank, yeah. I'll have to think on it, but Karen for sure.
Daddy Frank.
Yeah. Ugh, grosses me out. Anyway, the next morning, Ian comes downstairs and everyone's in the kitchen. Fiona called a family meeting and Lip checks in with Ian. He says that he slept through the night. Well, because he's like
and Fiona even was like,
I let you sleep.
I didn't get invited to the family meeting. She's like, yeah, she's like, you were sleeping.
So
yeah.
Fiona starts their meeting. She's like, okay, you guys know how we used to have the squirrel fund. And Fiona carried the bulk because she was the only adult. But now that they're all grown, or mostly grown, Fiona thinks that it should be split more evenly. So she hands everyone a piece of paper with their calculated portion to pay in comparison to stuff like age, their job, and if not, she will kick them out and rent their rooms. And Debbie starts like complaining about her portion.
Crazy.
It's only $375 and she's not in school. Like, she does have Harry to worry about, but you're telling me that Debbie can't find anybody like super cheap to watch Franny for 15 to 20 hours a week so she can work, or find a place that like has daycare. Like, okay, she's a minor, so maybe not. But
or like Fiona bringing Liam when she was like,
Fiona would bring Liam places.
Like,
yeah, exactly. It's
figure
like,
it out.
It's like you're telling me
Yeah,
that
all the
Debbie can't
time.
find fucking anything to like, any way to like, what, like, sure. And Ian,
like in a month's time too. I feel like that's not
$375
that's
a
good
month.
amount
Like
of
she
time
doesn't
for,
even
like,
she doesn't
$400
even have to work 15 to 20 hours a week probably. Well, yeah, she would probably have to work like half that, like 10 a week. She could do that, I think.
Yeah.
Like even if you just had like one day a week where you worked a 10-hour shift and then you were like up late with the baby or whatever.
Yeah.
And Ian is the only one who doesn't protest, which is nice. He kind of just like sits there quiet. He's like, okay. Like
he's the only one with a job.
He's also
He's
the only
one with a paying job.
Lip gets paid
like
by
stable
Patsy's, but it's like
income.
he's the only one with a paying job, two who like respects Fiona. Sorry.
Yeah.
But she asks that all of she has another ask. She asks that all of them put her at the bottom of their emergency contact list because she can't be leaving work anymore when they get into trouble because she's trying to make something of herself. And okay, my opinion on this, and this is what I was referring to earlier, is well, Fiona, you're the legal guardian of Carl and Debbie still, actually. So you're the only like authority that anyone really wants to call if they get in trouble. Like they're not going to call Lip and Ian. They want the legal guardian.
I mean, I can see, like, Debbie is a mom now and isn't in school. I can see it being like, yeah, Debbie shouldn't be her responsibility anymore.
Oh, for sure. But Debbie is also still a minor.
Sort of.
Debbie is also still a minor. So, like, if my thing is, like, if they were to get in trouble and they were like, we need to call, like, you're 15, we need to call your parent or guardian, they're not going to accept Debbie being like, oh, we can call my brother. They're going to be like, is he your legal guardian?
No,
and she's like, no. They're going to be like, well, like,
yeah. No, yeah.
Well, we can't do anything about it because you're a minor.
But Ian and Lip, like, yeah, for sure. And Liam is obviously exempt from like all of this shit that Fiona's saying. But Ian and Lip, like, yeah, sure, like, put Fiona at the bottom of your contact list, or just don't get into trouble. And okay, personally, for me, this episode, Ian's situation notwithstanding, because he just like had a swing, he can't control it. It's not like he got himself into trouble. It's like, he like, and he ended up like not going with her. So it's like, I don't know in my head if I think that Sue and Rita could have handled this on their own, because it really was like Fiona's comment that like convinced him to like accept it. But I don't.
But I think Lip would have had the same, like I think that
if they had called Lip
was in that scene instead of Fiona, it would have been the same.
Yeah. Because it is like, oh, you're doing this at work, but you're also doing this at home. But like Ian's situation notwithstanding, like I'm sure she doesn't hold it against him because again, it's like she didn't wake him up when he was sleeping, like all that shit. But I'm just like, oh man, it's kind of not fair to like lump him in with that shit.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah.
But then she turns directly to Lip and she goes, and just so we're clear, I am just as likely as anyone else in this family to make something of myself. And it's about time you got that, you arrogant shit. And Lip is like speechless, but a little amused. He's like kind of impressed.
He respects it.
Yeah. At that moment, V comes in the back door and tips them off that Frank is down the block. And outside of Frank's homeless shelter, he's organized the church to come feed them. And V, Svet, Kev, Fiona, and the rest of the Gallaghers come and take a look. And then Fiona goes, wow, my family's really upping the ante. And V says, tell me about it. I have 3 kids, a wife, a husband, and a father-in-law with a giant Johnson that I've seen twice already. Fiona goes, what? And she says, we have a lot to catch up on. And Lip is like, Frank, you can't have a homeless shelter here. And he says, I beg to differ, neighbor. And Liam runs over to Dolores and calls her mama. And then everyone's like really annoyed and exasperated, but like kind of comedically, like they're not actually annoyed. And then they leave. And that is the end of the episode. The end credits scene is Kev parking the truck in a rich neighborhood and picking up some cash to move it. And the end credits song is Telephone by Street Joy. Yeezies. Next week, I Am a Storm. Frank reasons with city council about homeless shelter rules. Kevin V struggle with Yvonne in the house. Svet gives Debbie advice on how to become a kept woman. Oh, this is the introduction of, what's his name? Played by Zach Perlman, who's in a wheelchair for this role, not in real life.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He plays
Sierra's brother, but I don't remember his name. Neil. This is the introduction of Neil.
Neil.
Lip and Fiona have an argument about her independence, and Fiona parties it up. And that's the end of the episode.
Goop.
I didn't realize it until you were just saying the father-in-law's name. Isn't Svet's dad's name Yevgeny? Isn't that why her child's name is Yevgeny?
Yeah, but they call him Yvonne in the show.
That's so weird.
So did they just forget? Did they forget that she named Yevgeny?
That's
after her
actually
father?
Maybe. I think I looked up.
Well, maybe that's his full name.
Yeah, I think they did. I remember this being discourse on Twitter. Well, this is actually you're correct. Her father's name is Yevgeny.
Wait, what? I'm confused. Pause.
This man this man is named Yvonne.
It took me a second.
Svetlana's father is named Yevgeny. Both are true. Yeah. I was like, it took me a second too. I was like, wait.
Interesting.
Yeah. So.
Wow, I genuinely didn't know that was. I don't know any of the twists that happens. I was just like, no, wait a minute. Continuity error.
Yeah,
no,
so actually not a continuity error.
Oh my god.
But we will get to that later.
Fuck, it's all coming back.
But that is correct. That is true.
And you were like,
I even had to Google it. I was like, wait.
And then I forgot halfway through the episode.
I forgot how the storyline goes.
Yeah, it's fun.
I really liked this episode. This might have been my favorite of the season so far.
This season is very strong. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. It's like the show actually does, when you take the Gallaghers goggles off, the show does fine without him. Because this is arguably the strongest, some of the strongest storylines that Fiona and Lip have. And even Ian, because Ian is such a fascinating character on his own. This is a strong
Ian episode.
He's such a fascinating character when he's single and on his own. Because I feel okay, EMT Ian was a really interesting storyline, but at the same time it's all tied up in the Caleb of it all. He really applies for the job because Caleb encourages him to. But Ian on his own, trying to figure out what he wants for himself is a really interesting storyline. Except then we get introduced to...
Because he went from being just a teenager and hooking up with his grown man boss to being with Mickey and the relationship with Mickey blowing him up into the army, and then falling back into that relationship and that being the thing defining him. You're right, this is the first time that he's been and now who am I?
Not even to talk shit because I'm Gallaghers for life. But they get married. They do get back together and get married pretty young. So I mean, not pretty young. They're in their 20s, but I just they've been together since they were 15.
I do think the show makes them earn it though.
For sure.
The whole proposal thing.
Also, the fact that they survived being in prison together. It's in the same cell. Yeah. It's oh no, they fucking earned that shit. But yeah, it's. Ian on his own is a really, really fascinating character, and I'm glad that the show returned to that, because the last time they really did something like that was honestly seasons 2 or 3, but it's all wrapped up in his daddy issues and his hooking up with older men, and then we dive right into the mental illness storyline. Yeah. So
you're saying it's nice to see a character explore who they are all on their own without being on a hamster wheel of a bad relationship?
Oh,
is that what you're saying?
Well, yes!
Oh, yes, actually. Funny you say that.
And we all know some other characters this could apply to. You know I
who are also EMTs.
Oh, and another character that I would
actually.
love to see date around sluttily.
Let him do
Yes.
poppers.
Because I think,
Yep.
personally, I don't know about Tim Minear, call him out by name. I think that personally, it would be a really interesting development to see Buck re-enter a slut era, but this time he has more self-worth.
Woo! He just
Yeah,
wants
To
to
see
have
Buck, to
fun.
see
He
Buck
wants
date
to-
around.
Did you see Oliver say he wants to see Buck in more queer spaces,
He
hanging out with people like
sees-
Lucy Donato? Like, way to out Lucy Donato.
Hilarious, by the way, because the fact that he just said that shit. He was like, what about Lucy? He sees the vision of Buck speed dating montage set to Girls and Boys by Blur. He sees the vision that lives in my head. Okay? Like we're telepathically linked. I'm convinced of it. Like, he gets it. I am very excited to see where things go. We need to get him out of this relationship,
Get
you
him
guys.
out.
We really do. Like, we as a society need to get him out of this relationship. Seriously. Because I need him.
We need
To
Eddie
do
to
something crazy.
finally put the guilt about Shannon to bed, and we need Buck to be single for
I
a
need him
minute.
single
We can,
so
like,
badly.
We can give Eddie a second. We can get, like, okay, yes, let's get him out of that closet. But, like, Eddie can be chill and, like, slow about it. He can be slow about it. He should be slow about it, actually, because, like, it's a lot of repression that he's been dealing with. But Buck, he should be dating her
He's out. Let him have fun.
Yeah.
Put him on prep. We're good. Come on.
Get him on Grindr now.
Oh my god, Grindr would scare him.
I want to hear that Grindr bloop.
Actually, he'd be like,
I want an episode of ABC.
okay.
No, I think Bug would love that shit.
I want an episode of 911 to air on ABC, and we hear the Grindr bloop. Like,
Sponsors.
I wanna hear
Guys,
it.
new
He'd be like-
sponsorship. You have something big you can do. Grindr's already talked about, I think, Eddie before.
Well, also, it's like, you guys did an Amazon product promotion.
What's a little app?
Not, it's possible. It's possible. Let's educate the people on cruising. Buck should go cruising. No, he shouldn't.
No, he shouldn't.
No, he shouldn't.
No, he shouldn't.
Unless.
But what
I'm
if?
just gonna smile.
Unless. Whatever.
Anyway, I really enjoyed this episode of Shameless. I really did like it. What we haven't discussed in this is Cam and Noel doing Comic-Con
Dyeing
and
his hair
Noel
black.
being in full Mickey cosplay.
I forgot. I made so many jokes about this. Wait, let me look up. Hold on.
Like, meanwhile, my sister's meeting Matt Smith, and he currently
That
had
fuck-ass
he has that
mohawk.
fuck-ass mohawk. So he had like a French braided mohawk when she met him.
Oh, God. Okay. Sorry. Me and my friend, you guys know my friend Sydney. We were talking so much fucking shit on Noel Fisher the other week. Sorry to Noel Fisher. Basically, she's a big Star Wars fan, and she was playing through the Cal Kestis game, and she was telling me like all the shit, and I was like, dude, Cameron Monaghan's career is like fucking crazy. Like crazy good. I was like, he's selective. He doesn't do a lot of things, but the stuff he does do is good. I was looking at his Instagram. I was looking at his like short film trailer that he released or whatever. And, she, I said, so when is it out? Show it to me, Rachel. And she said, it's now time to look at Noel Fisher's movie and TV section and shake my head on Google search and shake my head. Because it's bad. And then I said he has the worst taste or the worst team. Noel Fisher, Oliver Stark dad, I think. And we talked about
That's the
Hamtar.
craziest sentence you've ever fucking said. Oh my god.
Then I said Noel Fisher is perpetually 18 because why was he getting roles like that?
Bro, I can't. I can't recover
He
from
kind of
that.
has the perfect anime voice. He should kind of get into that. I just meant like he should get into voice acting again so I can hear Mickey.
Yeah.
Then we went through a lot of his really great roles. He has 2 roles on
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, well that was a serve. But he has 2 roles on IMDb that are credited as acne face teen, and pimply manager.
Like, the way he came out the gate swinging in Max Keeble's big move. Like, there you are. He was in Agent Cody Banks.
Like, actually,
Max Keeble's big move.
Then I
He
said,
was out here.
After sex fucked, though. His scene in that movie was great. I watched A Dog Named Christmas. I did, back in the day. And she goes, I'm telling you, Mickey used his body as a vessel, and when he taps into that again, he's amazeballs.
Oh my god.
Praise the Riches. Oh god, The Riches, you guys.
That show was awesome.
It's so good.
I remember when he did Hatfields and McCoys, and they wanted him to grow a beard, which is why Mickey has that fuck-ass beard in season 2, and then when they wrote Mickey off, it was because Noel had to go do that show. But they had to dye the beard for him to be Mickey, but in real life it was so blonde and so patchy, and when he got to the set of Hatfields, they made him shave it off.
Yep. His character in Hatfields is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
Was his name Cotton Top?
Yes, name's Cotton Top. He dies tragically. It's like really, he's like a very innocent, sweet character who like gets pinned for this crime and they execute him. It's so heartbreaking.
Yeah. Blonde Noel eats, ginger Noel is scary, his body is tea. All right.
I just love that he went to Comic-Con in Mickey cosplay.
No,
it made the photos look good. Like all of the photos looked so good.
Oh,
please. I'm sorry.
This is the mean thing we were saying. Wait. Yeah, we were talking about that. Noel Fisher dyeing his hair black for Comic-Con, right?
Yeah.
Wait. Keep talking. Actually, I can't find what I said.
No, like I was freaking out when I saw that he had the black hair. I was like, why? Oh, Comic-Con. Right. Never mind.
That was crazy. The way that people were just doing poses that like they were like not anywhere near them. Oh, here's what I said. Okay, Cameron Monaghan, pick up your phone now. Get off the stage and into the mocap studio for a third game. Get away from Noel Fisher and his shoe polish hair dye.
That shit would probably rub off on his shirt if he hugged him tight enough.
Oh!
And then she said literally Rylever in 10 years.
Stop.
Just doing conventions. I said, honestly, for real, who's who? And she said, Ryan's obviously Noel. Sorry to him. I said, I fear Oliver might become unemployed though. She goes, well, Ryan will be terminally unemployed. And I said, he would be like, let's do it. The fans would love it. I'll even grow my mustache back. Oh, Ryan Fisher.
You're brutal. You're brutal, dude.
Oh.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll grow my mustache
I probably cut a lot of that, but just so everybody knows, Lena is mean.
Lena's cooking.
I said this once and I'll say it again. The way that I bitch out in my text messages needs to be studied by an academic panel.
Oh my god, our back and forth today literally had me laughing so hard at work. I thought I was gonna die. What was it? The education and then the what was it?
The Eddie Stander.
We were like,
you need a.
It was the remediation.
People need
and then
remediation
and then educated and then
people need a degree to understand Eddie Diaz, and many dropped out of high school, but I have my doctorate, so that's that on that. I'm sending you guys a screenshot. Yeah, I'm very, very...
Okay, we should probably wrap the episode up. We're coming in on 2 hours on this one.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, it is.
It's been a minute. So that was this episode of The Luck We Had, a shameless recap podcast. We kept our tangents about 911 to a minimum. We really did.
Well, yeah.
Well, yes. I really liked this episode, and I'm really excited to get into the rest of this season. Like, it
picks up.
Fun.
It picks up for sure.
This is what I missed when I was just in college and ignoring the show.
Right.
Welcome back.
Like, yay. Welcome back to Shameless. It's good. Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew? Not without my guy. I was not here. I was not present without my guy. But I'm here now.
Well, it's an honor to have you, and we're happy for you to enjoy this moments with us.
I'm happy to have you back, yeah.
Yeah. And you know, we do this podcast when
Yeah.
we can. When we're able. When life doesn't want to fucking punch us in the face.
Sometimes sitting down for 2 hours is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we just gotta be sucked into 911 and horny on Twitter for a few weeks, and then we pop back into Shameless for a minute.
It's good for you. It's really good for you.
It kind of humbles me, so it's great to be back.
All right, until the next episode, we should wrap this one up. We should let you guys go. Hey, we don't give you ads like other podcasts do, just nonsense.
It's true.
And isn't
But
that,
instead of
isn't that
ads,
nice of us?
you guys
Not
can
something.
follow us on all of our socials.
Yes.
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 Well, yes.
Well, actually,
Say your
yes.
things.
Well, yes. Sorry. You guys want to go first?
Amanda, you go first.
You go first.
This is the order. We go Amanda, Evan, Lena. I feel like that's always been the order.
Oh my god. You can follow the Luck We Had Pod on Instagram, on Twitter, on all the things. You can follow me on TikTok, abnormalamanda_18, on Twitter, abnormalamanda, on Instagram, abnormalamanda18. Please interact with my book content so that book publishers
Get them
keep
more
sending me books.
books.
I'm begging of you.
Yes, please.
Oh, my turn. Hey. Yes. You can follow me on Twitter at EvanBLMAO, or I'm on TikTok sometimes at EvanBLMAO. Instagram's not really my forte anymore, so you can find me over there.
You can follow me on Twitter at Durs Hoimvik, Durs Hoimvik, DERSHOIMVIK on Twitter. That's it. That's the
Watch
only
What We
place.
Do in the Shadows. Support Lena's workaholics little guy.
Oh my god,
Um,
please support Kyle Newacek. Actually, he's directing Happy Gilmore 2 right now, so it's like he's kind of set, but
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
support him anyway because he's a fucking cool dude and I met him and he was very nice. So, yeah.
Well, yes.
Well, yes. Have you seen
Shout out Kyle Newacek.
Have you seen the new Shadows yet? Yeah, what'd you think? Just quickly.
I love it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It doesn't feel like last season to me, but it's good.
Okay, and now we've got to
Dinner
go.
Okay, and goodbye.
Literally 2 hours. Okay, goodbye.